What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to do a video where I show you how to measure for a kayak bass tournament. So I'm going to show you a couple clips and then just like a general explanation of how to do it and some things to avoid, but also how to make difficult scenarios better, and you can still get a photo that you can submit for a tournament. So first thing you want to do when you're measuring a fish on a board, some couple tips. So normally when you're sitting in a kayak, you're probably going to have this level, but what I found is a lot more beneficial is that you actually want to be at an angle. So that means having the side where the head goes is lower than the end of the board. Now this helps push the fish against the end of the board, and you're going to get the accurate length. It's also a little less likely to flop, I've found from personal experience. Now, when you actually go to take the photo of the fish, you're going to want to place your hand in about the middle. Here, you don't want your finger to go under the gill flap. That's usually a DQ, or the fish. You don't want your hand too far down here. In certain tournaments, that can also be DQ. And then you don't want your hand covering the eye. And you also want to make sure the mouth is closed and not open. An open mouth is going to lose you points, usually a ½ inch, depending on the tournament trail. You also want to make sure your identifier is visible. A photo like that would get DQ'd. A photo like this would get DQ'd. Can't see the whole identifier. Another thing that gets people DQ'd with their identifier is the sun will actually go on it, and then you can't see the code, and then you don't get to count the fish. So I'm using this stuffed walleye, but it's actually pretty typical for how a bass is going to sit on a board. While this is a walleye, it doesn't really look like one. It even has like a nice mouth. It's almost smallmouth bass, like, to be honest. But that's pretty much it for how to measure a fish when you have it on the board, and some of those kind of helpful tips. And I'm also going to throw in some footage of me doing some measuring from some past tournaments that I've found, and it'll give you like a better idea. Also, just another helpful tip, when you're taking a photo, make sure you take more than one. Sometimes when you're taking a photo quickly, it can be blurry, and that's another way the photo is not going to count.
Big fish of the year too. 19.5, yes. Good enough. Awesome.
Now, you'll notice in the video right before this that it was very dark, but when I took the photo, I made sure I had the settings right so the picture would still be visible and the identifier would be readable. And this can be done when you're taking the picture and it doesn't affect the GPS location.
So let's take a 17.
So you might notice that my pinky finger is in a location that's probably not smart for a photo. In a lot of tournaments, if you get too close to the eyes or certain places by the gills, that can be a DQ or a loss of inches on the fish. So always be careful of your hand placement.